So I've got Nathan here. Nathan, would you introduce yourself and tell everyone just a little bit about your background, your ministry?
Sure, yeah. My name's Nathan Stang. I am currently the kids ministry team lead at First Church in Owasso, Oklahoma, which is right north of Tulsa area in Oklahoma. So I've been here for 10 years, and my wife and I, we have 7 kids, so we're busy quite often. She's a principal at a local elementary school here, and so our lives are filled with working with kids and families all the time. But it's a lot of fun. We really enjoy it. And yeah, I'm at a church that's gone through a lot of growth over the last 5 years too. So we've had to constantly reevaluate how we do things, and if what we did before is working, or what got us here isn't necessarily going to get us to where we want to go. So we got to reevaluate and uh, and change things up a
That's awesome
lot.
though that you are doing that because a lot of churches will get like stuck in their ways, and I guess the growth helped with
Right.
that. But it's always
Hmm.
how you ministered to them when you were smaller or when you were going through this is going to be consistently different, and it's awesome that you guys are kind of like viewing that on a constant fluid basis.
Yes, and you're right. The growth necessitates it. When you have a bunch of people and your rooms are filling up and you don't have enough volunteers or whatever, you've kind of got to reinvent the wheel a little bit. It might not be always huge tweaks, but it really is. You got to rethink things, and while staying true to what makes you also have to go, okay, what can we reevaluate here? How can we use space differently? What how do we use our volunteers? Like, all of those things have to be analyzed and dissected and talked about, which can be a little daunting sometimes, without someone constantly driving that. But that's something we try to do, is just constantly talk about it. What ideas do we have? There's no bad ideas. They always get us to a goal. They might not be the ones we pick, but it gets us somewhere. Gets us
Yes.
somewhere.
All right. So we have the kind of big question that we're asking with this interview thing. We're really looking at how do we understand the heart of Gen Alpha, and kind of I think you can kind of speak into this well because you're constantly having to reevaluate. And so for those churches that feel like it's just another program that we need or another event, beyond those things, like what is the most important element in building like real heart level connection with Gen Alpha and their parents?
Yeah, and I love this question, because the programs and events, they are important. I think they're sometimes I think, especially negativity towards large churches, and they just care about the numbers, all that stuff. And I've been there. I've been in really big churches. I've been in really small churches. I understand the criticism, um, but programs and events are tools, and anytime that you have any number of people come into your church, whether it's 20 or 20,000, like, you have to have those things. They're tools that help you structure the ministry that you're doing, but they're not necessarily the ministry itself. The ministry always like, I haven't seen this change in my almost 20 years of doing this. Ministry is always still happening, life on life. It's still those finding those intersections where um, we can just get in with people, whether that's a 5 minute conversation in a hallway or a lunch, or preaching on stage. You're trying to find those life on life moments to bring the gospel message into the situation and let it do the transforming that it can only do. And so I don't think that has changed a whole lot. But you are right. It's not just about the programs, it's not just about the events. You can have really quality events and programs, and not be doing ministry. It can turn into a concert, it can turn into a show that you're just inviting people to watch. And so, as I think about that question, it really came down to two things for me. And the first thing is just the word presence.
That's good.
Um, for this generation, but really for any generation, I think the idea that there's going to be someone there for them that will show up again and again on their good days, on their bad days. no matter what they look like, no matter what they act like, that we have someone that can show up for them and know who they are, to be real with. And that's something that we value a lot in our ministry. Um, children's ministry world is it gets kind of weird. Like, you need so many volunteers, and there's numbers that you have to keep to, and all these things. And so, volunteers are constantly coming in and out, and there's ebbs and flows throughout the year with all of this stuff. Well, on our Sunday morning program, it's very much uh, could be completely different leaders each week. And so we wanted to make sure that we had an element where uh, we could invite kids in and it was the same leaders all the time, a discipleship
Yeah,
kind of
that's
thing. And
awesome.
so how our church does that is on our midweek programming. Our midweek programming runs during the school year, and it is the discipleship stuff. It is the bigger, deeper discipleship stuff. We have teaching and we play games and do stuff, but these kids are coming back each week because they have a leader that cares
That's
about them.
awesome.
It's the same leader every week who invests in that group, oftentimes for multiple years, like over the course. We have some leaders in our church who go from kindergarten all the way up through high school. We don't require that; they just choose
That's
to do that.
amazing.
Some, yeah, some. So I have one of my key volunteers. She just got done with a fifth grade group last year, sent them off to sixth grade, and started over with a new kindergarten group. And so that's not everyone. That doesn't always happen, but oftentimes we're getting multiple years of real discipleship happening. And so that's really the first thing that comes to mind for me is someone who's willing to show up again and again. And the nice thing about that is that doesn't require huge church budget. That doesn't require awesome programs or fancy lighting systems or anything. It just requires someone who cares, and that is what we try to do. The reality is, in my situation right now, I don't even know all of our volunteers super well all the time. We're constantly bringing in new people, and I may not know them at a personal level. So I definitely can't know all the kids personally. So I have to empower other leaders to do that. How we're set up structurally within our elementary ministry specifically, we've created kind of a coaching culture, so to speak, where we've empowered other volunteer leaders, built them up, trained them up to take over services. And so they are, I tell them all the time, you're the minister of this service. Your job is to first invest in the volunteers that are there, and second, invest in the kids and families that are coming through the door. In turn, those volunteers, we're telling them, hey, your job is to invest in the kids and families coming through the store. So we kind of have a layered
That's
approach,
awesome.
but we
Yeah.
have to do that just because, I mean, no matter how outgoing you are, and I am not high on that scale. I am much more reserved. I am much, I'm not that I'm just like hiding away from people, but it's just like that is not, it takes work for
Yeah.
me. It's draining when I'm around thousands of people or whatever. So I everybody only has so many connection points that they can do. They Everybody is this way. You have a limit to how deep you can go with everyone
Yeah,
around you.
absolutely.
And so you have to multiply yourself. And we're kind of at the point now in our ministry where not only do I have to multiply myself, not only does my elementary minister have to multiply herself, we have to have our volunteer coaches multiply themselves to be able to help cover the relational need that everyone has and invest well in that area. So we are asking them to be present, to be the people that are the connection points there. The second word that comes to mind is empowerment, and the reason I say that is because if you're just asking, there are so many things in this world just asking people to show up and watch the show. Um, Kids have all sorts of options, and their options are better funded than your church is. They have better equipment than your church does. They have more engaging personalities than your church does. You're not going to win that ball game, and I don't think the church should try to win that ball game. but what kids really want is they want to be involved. They want kids, students, whoever, even adults, they need to be told that your presence here matters and that this is something that you can be a part of. And so we really strive to do that as well. We want to have avenues for our kids, even being young, um, to be able to invest in their church community. And that's actually one of our four key values. We talk about loving God's people and being invested in your church family and using your gifts to do big things. And so how that works practically for us is we actually have a worship team of fourth and fifth
That's
graders who come
awesome.
in for monthly trainings. They do a lot of our worship stuff for us. So they run computers and technology for us. They run the lighting systems. They run the soundboard. They also get up on stage and they lead their peers in worship, read scripture from stage. We're hoping to keep developing that too. And I, more than it, like that has been explosive growth in that program. When I first started at this church leading the worship team back in 2018, we had 5 kids in it. And this last semester, it's changed shape a little bit and looks a little different, but this last semester we have 45 kids in our worship team
That's awesome.
helping lead services on Wednesdays and Sundays. And it's one of my favorite things. And what it also has done is it's created this leadership pipeline. And so one of my first people that joined the worship team was a fourth grade girl back in 2018. Well, she's getting ready to go into her senior year. She's one of our key volunteers in student and children's ministry, and she's even wanting to apply for jobs on our staff.
That's
Like
so
it's
amazing.
cool to kind of see that. Yeah, it's turned out really, really cool. Like a lot of times people are afraid of that because it's going to be messy. It's not going to look perfect. And what we've just said as a church is, we are about excellence, but excellence doesn't mean perfection. And so are there times where a kid is swinging around in their chair back and forth and their knee hits the power button and everything shuts down on a Sunday? It happens. Are we in the middle of a communion meditation and he hits the wrong Spotify playlist and we're playing, let's get ready for this instead of like calm?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. Those things happen. The slides aren't always perfect. The sound isn't always perfect. But man, it makes a big difference to have a fifth grader up there and have our kindergartners see these fifth graders leading others in worship than it does to have me up there dancing around. Could I do a better job? Certainly. Uh, but is it, do they need me to be up there? Or do they need to see their peers up there? And I think they need to see their peers up there so that they can know that their gifts and the things that God has blessed them with that are usable in the church and that there's a place for them to use them in the church. And how that's kind of developed, our church runs 3 services on Sundays, and in our children's ministry, we actually run 5 services
My
because the
goodness.
way our building's set up, I can do simultaneous services on 2 different sides, and because of numbers, we kind of have to split up and do that. And so, but our final service of the day is almost entirely run by teenagers now, and many
Wow.
of them have been through our worship team stuff. They lead from stage, they lead communion, they host our video lesson stuff. Like they do a lot of different things. Um, we empower them and we trust them and we coach them. We don't just leave them out to dry, but like we're there alongside them, but we want to come alongside and let them use their gifts for ministry purposes, because whether they end up going into ministry as a career, full-time calling, or whether they, become school teachers or executives at companies or oil rig workers or whatever, we want them to know that they have gifts that they can use in church and be prepared to do that. And so, yeah, it's been really cool to watch that grow. And again, this wasn't anything that took money or fancy equipment. It was just empowering other leaders. And so we're really big on that. So again, just to kind of re-say what I've already said, it's about the presence, it's about the empowerment. And I was recently at a conference, and I'm not sure if you've heard of Christ in Youth CIY
No, I
events.
don't think so.
They're a youth organization that does CIY Move. They do Super Start, which is for preteens. They do They do a number of different youth events across the country. But the president of that organization, Jason French, was talking to us about Gen Alpha and the things they need. And one of the statements he made that's really just stuck with me is he basically said that if your service is so polished that a 10th grader can't hold a microphone during it, then maybe you have an idol and not a service. And
That's
that
good.
that really hit me. That hit me really hard. And he went on to just talk about this, and he's right. He's like, our kids' schools are asking a lot out of them. And he says, as a parent, I know what my kids' schools want from them. My kids' sports teams are asking a lot out of them. And I know what my kids' coaches want out of them. He's like, I'm not always sure what my kids' church wants out of them. That just really stuck with me. And he's right. And if we're not empowering this generation, um, not only to be in a ministry, but to actually do ministry, then we're really missing the boat, and they're going to go find it somewhere else. Like they're going to use their gifts and skills somewhere else. And so I want to make sure that here where I have influence, that I am empowering, I'm being present, and we are helping kids um, to really use their gifts for the Lord, because gosh, just the eternal impact that can have on a family system, on an individual, is incredible to watch. And it doesn't take that much time. It doesn't take that much money. It just takes caring and investing and being there.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like for those kids that are doing the stage thing, others may look at it and be like, oh, they're on the stage. It might create more of a hunger, but on the leadership side, those are mentor opportunities. Those are opportunities for students to be ministering to other students. And I mean, those things that last so much longer than some of the other. I mean, let's be honest, there are sometimes those things make a bigger impact than the sermon.
Right.
And it's really taking all those things that have been taught to them and living it out. So that's amazing that you guys are doing that and really being intentional about that.
Yeah. And just like you said, I mean, I wasn't a typical youth group kid growing up. I didn't go to lots of that stuff until I was a little bit older. I didn't really come to Christ until I was 17 years old. And so, the, but I don't remember youth group lessons from my pastor. And like, I'm sure he was great. I'm sure he spent a lot of time working on that stuff, but it just like that stuff isn't sticking with me. What sticks with me is my small group leader, who, even though I was super inconsistent from 6th grade to 12th grade, stuck with our group of boys and would come back every year and say, if you'll still have me back, I'll stick with you until graduation. And we would always say yes, you know. And what sticks with me is the times that our youth pastor trusted us to lead things and work in the church. And like, I remember all that stuff. I can't remember a single lesson that he gave, or a class or anything. And so we actually lean into that. And I tell my volunteers that, like, I'm very open with them about this. Even on our staff team, like I talked about this, is like, I don't want our team spending 10 hours working on a midweek lesson, because we do live teaching at midweek on our Wednesday nights. I don't want them spending 10 hours on a lesson, because I don't think that's the best use of their time. Like, we kind of made this switch where we kind of went to, for our midweek programming and lesson teaching, the most important thing is the community aspect. It's not the lesson time. The lessons there is a tool. And so we've gone straight into um, basically just creatively retelling the Bible story. We have a bottom line and all the stuff, but like, my goal as the teacher is to get the Bible story in front of the kids, and then let them discuss it as a group within their group. Like, let's let them handle the application, let them handle the talking about it and diving in. I'm just there to like creatively tell the story so that it sticks in their heads. And that's been a cool change. But even to our volunteers, I'll tell them, I was like, nothing you say today matters. I'm pretty blunt with it. I'm like, there is no amazing thing that you're going to pull out of your brain that you're going to say this day that is going to change that kid's life forever. But what will change that kid's life forever is that you're here next weekend,
Mhm.
and the weekend after that, and the weekend after that, and that kid is coming into your room knowing that you care about them, that you know their name, that you'll listen to their stories about Roblox or Minecraft or Pokemon, and they will sit there and listen. That you will pray for their best friend's hamster. That's what matters. And so they're consistently receiving God's word. They're consistently receiving prayer. They're consistently getting community, and they are being sent out on mission. That what they do matters, out not only at church but out in the world. And so that's what we're going for as a ministry. We're just trying to engage Gen Alpha or any generation that comes along with that message, because the more we can get the gospel into them, the more transformative power it can have in their lives. And we're going to do that through our presence and through empowering them to go and do actual ministry things.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being here and having this conversation and just answering that question and showing the heartbeat, not only for Gen Alpha, but also for the ministry that you're doing, because it truly makes a difference in a lot of these young kids' lives. So thank you very much, Nathan.
Yeah, happy to do it. It's always fun talking ministry.
Yes.